The former 125mm is on the left, while the new 155mm upgrade is on the right. I am riding on the road right in front of my house. Needless to say, does not have the best maintenance. It's not hard to notice the difference in dampening. The 125 on the left barely travels a few centimeters, while the one on the right goes up and down over an inch. The difference in shock absorption is best illustrated when riding over speed bumps. Notice the stark disparity in dampening. The 155 does a full travel to compensate for the sudden rise in the road, while the 125 just bottoms out. Notice the position of the new hose I had to drill out to accommodate the longer 155 air shock. The original opening design for the 125 was simply not high enough. I also got rid of the valve extender as I was already familiar with the pressure needed and did not anticipate needing to repump. Here is a comparison of the old dual spring shocks compared to the new dual 155 air. This is not an apples to apples because the road traveled on is different, but characteristics are quite similar. Now, similar to the front, the performance increase is stark and conspicuous. The springs did not provide much dampening and produce squeaks, while the new air does large amounts of travel while remaining whisper quiet. Again, the best moments to appreciate what shocks do for you is when going over speed bumps. The rear duals do not disappoint. They really flatten and smooth out road imperfections. Notice the beautiful springy action over these large road bumps. I have questioned whether one air canister is sufficient, as I have seen some scooters with only one rear dampener, and also in this large scooter category. I might experiment with one canister in the future just to see if that changes any ride characteristics.
What is going on, friends? Welcome back to my channel. And you guys just had the extraordinary privilege to witness the effectiveness of air suspension dampeners. So let me give you a closer look at the new replacement. So you watch two videos on how to replace the front one, 155mm A5. This is the RE, so it only has the single air chamber, doesn't have the dual one, which in my opinion, is a lot less complicated, and I prefer that one versus the other one. There's two air chambers, and that gets a little bit complicated, so I would avoid it. So what I'm talking about is this one right here. This is the RR1, so it has an air valve there, and then it has another air valve back here. All right, so this is worth reiterating. In order to make everything work out, you're going to need to drill two more holes into this upper suspension arm. The original holes for the 125mm air dampener is right here. And same thing for the rear. This is a little bit more complicated. I did not actually do a detailed video on this because it was just too time consuming. But you're going to need to get another hole drilled here, whereas the original one went right here. The shaft up here, this one right here, that holds the upper part of the air dampener, should be about an eighth of an inch longer than the original one. You're going to need to modify the kickstand as well. This might be something really minor, but because this here is going to be situated, this rear swing arm is situated at a lower angle, or at a steeper angle. You're gonna need to lengthen up this kickstand to accommodate, and I'll show you why when I lower this scooter down onto the floor. And what else here? Oh, also, you got to keep in mind that this is the cable for the rear brake caliper. See, this is the rear brake caliper. Because the swing arm gets angled down like this, it actually lengthens the cable that comes out of the battery compartment. So originally the cable was in here just to keep it neat and tidy, but you're gonna need to remove it from this body in here, this housing on the stem, because otherwise it's not long enough to accommodate this new position. So yeah, and now there's a reason why I am not as loud or I'm not as enthusiastic as I should be, because if you look here, the stupid insert, I don't know if you can see right there, that thing just slipped out. So one of the drawbacks of this A5 is it uses this a plastic insert. I don't know if you can see it right there, just to make it work. So this is the shaft, the suspension shaft. Without that plastic insert, this hole is just too large. Whereas here, this is the original one. It fits just right. So what I need to do is I need to take that back to my machinist and have him machine out some spacers, and then I can call this project finally complete. But even at this point, so let me show you. So this here, before I forget, this was the original stock rear suspension dampener, and compare that to this one here, 155 millimeters. But what was I saying? Okay, so once I get the spacers machined out and installed, I'll have the perfect scooter. All right, so for those of you who own this scooter or a similar scooter and you are unable to replace the suspension dampeners due to financial reasons, so you're looking at a total of $150 worth of parts. So these A5 air canisters go for about $50 a pop on Alibaba. On Amazon, they're a little bit more expensive. They're a little pricier. I think they're like $80. If you do acquire these from AliExpress, just be aware. Just know that they take a lot longer to ship to you. So there's that caveat. But at the very minimum, you're going to be spending about $150 on parts. And on top of that, I know the technical expertise required to do this replacement is pretty high, because it took me 2 weekends, and I'm pretty handy with tools. And there's some things that I couldn't do, like some of the machining I wasn't able to do. I had to take it to a machinist. So for those of you who are unable to do this because of those reasons or due to those reasons, I want to describe to you what it feels like. I mean, it's really hard, but I would say it's not even in the same ballpark. Comparing this one to the old one, so the old rear being this one here, and then the old stock one in the front, and the old stock one really short air. It's like riding on the moon. Or I've never been on the moon, but I would imagine it's like being on a very low gravitational pull environment. And so it's like almost like you're weightless. Everything just gets flattened out. It's almost like the hands of God just comes out from the sky and softens every single pothole that you go over, or every single speed bump you ride over. So it's incredible. It's like you're on a different planet, not even the same ballpark anymore. So if you can, I would highly recommend it, just to save your joints, because I was feeling it so much on my joints, and I was like, you know what, I gotta bite the bullet, and first of all, put out the money to get the parts, and then secondly, go through hours and hours of trying to understand and figure out how to do the replacement, where to drill the holes. That was the hardest part, because I didn't want to drill too many holes on the swing arms, because that would diminish the structural integrity. So it's a lot of calculations to determine where the hole should go for the extended 155 millimeter air dampener. All right, as promised, I took the scooter off of that lift table, and you can see that had I not modified this kickstand with that bottom aluminum portion extension, it would not be leaning as ideally as it is. It would be leaning almost like it was gonna fall over. So that's something else. And then before I forget, the air canister pressure back here, these are both at about 53 PSI, and I just played around with the air pressure. That seems to be the most ideal pressure for me at 160 pounds. And then this one in the front, I have it at 105 PSI. Again, for a 160 pound rider.